All the characters in the story are over 18 years old. I was sitting at the kitchen table when my sister came home from the grocery store. She saw a notebook on the table in front of me and a pen in my hand and asked, "What are you doing?" "I have decided to accept your challenge." I don't remember any arguments. Do you remember last week when we read these stories on that internet site? I commented on how bad some of them were and said that even I could have achieved more. You said I couldn't do it. You said I don't have a creative streak. I probably really said that, but my comment was based on what I know about your grades when we were in school. You always got a 4 and a 3 for your work in classes where written reports were required, and you got a 3 for the work you needed to do for business research and writing reports. Well, I think I can do better. It doesn't matter. Come on, help me bring the groceries. I helped her carry her bags and put some things away, and then I sat back at the table and began to write. While preparing dinner, she asked, "What are you writing about?" "I won't say anything yet. I'll let you read it when I'm done, and you can critique it before I put it on the site." I didn't think it would be too difficult. Yes, everything I did in college didn't bring excellent grades, but then I didn't want that. I was only doing what I had to do to take the courses. First of all, I didn't want to be there, but my parents more or less blackmailed me. Dad wouldn't have let me work in the family business if I didn't have a bachelor's degree in business management. I've been working there after school and in the summers since I was 13, and I wanted to work there when I graduated from high school, but Dad said, "No, not without a degree. This is necessary in order for you to come here to work full-time." So, I accepted it and went to study. I got my degree and went to work in the family business. I looked down at my notebook, picked up a pen, and started. My name is Josh Barnum. I am an aircraft mechanic for a major airline and am married to Melinda Barnum. Melinda, I call her Melly, is the office manager of an insurance company. Melly and I have been together for a little over 11 years, and we have been married for 9 of them. We met in our second year of college, and for me it was love at first sight. And for Melly? Not so much. It took me 3 months to arrange a meeting with her. We started dating. After that, we became a regular couple and met 2 or 3 times a week, at least until the summer between our sophomores and juniors. I had a summer job for my Uncle Bill, who owned a landscaping company. I worked 10 to 12 hours a day from Monday to Saturday. As a result, I was rarely able to see Melly during the week. After 3 weeks, when we only saw each other on Sundays, Melly started seeing other people. When I complained about it, she told me to put up with it or lose our Sunday meetings. It was a defining moment in our relationship. I've already said that when it came to Melly, it was love at first sight, so I'd rather give up than lose her altogether. I didn't realize at the time what a mistake it was. It showed her that, from my point of view, she could get away with a lot, and I would leave it as it is. 3 weeks have passed, and on Friday, I worked for only 6 hours before taking a break due to severe thunderstorms. I called Melly to see if she could spend the evening with me, but she said she already had an appointment. I hung up the phone without saying another word. I called everyone to see if anything was planned, and found out that Mike Matson was having a party at home. I called and found out that I was welcome, so I decided to go. It was a bad move on my part. I walked in just in time to see Melly chatting with another person. They stood next to each other, talking, and then danced to slow music. It was obvious that they felt comfortable with each other, and it was unpleasant. When the dance ended, Melly saw me. She said something to her companion, and then walked towards me. I turned around and left the party. She probably had my phone number to reach me, but I wasn't going to wait. The weather was good on Saturday, so I worked for 12 hours. I decided not to call Melly on Saturdays anymore because she's going to be seeing someone anyway. I usually called her on Sunday morning to make an appointment for the afternoon, but I didn't call that Sunday morning. It's one thing to know that she was dating someone when I was busy, but it's quite another to see it with my own eyes. It affected me a lot. I decided that maybe I should reconsider our relationship and think about the future, thinking that since Melly hadn't heard from me on Sunday morning, she might call me. I left home and was away all day. When I got home for dinner, Mom told me that Melly had called twice and wanted me to call her back when I got back. I decided to call her after dinner. She got straight to the point. "Why didn't you call me this morning?" "I thought that after what I saw last week, you're not waiting for me anymore." "We've already discussed this, Josh. I'm not going to stay at home if you can't come." "I know, and I came to terms with it when I thought it was just innocent meetings with friends. But what I saw was far from innocent. I thought you and I had something special, but now I'm not sure. Don't say that, Josh. We really have something special. We need to talk. Come to me tomorrow when you're free, please. Will you do it? I think I can. Do you promise? Okay, I'll be there. Monday turned out to be a 12-hour workday, and I didn't get to Mellie's house until a little after 8. Her mom opened the door and said that Mellie was waiting for me in the backyard. When I came out, Mellie was on the phone with her back to the door, and I heard her say, "I liked what we did on Friday. I can't wait to see you on Tuesday. I have to go. He'll be here soon. Bye." I returned to the house and noisily opened the door to the courtyard. Mellie turned around and noticed me. I went to the table and sat down. She looked at me, realizing that I would not start a conversation, and spoke first. "What's wrong, Josh? You agreed to my meetings when you were busy." At the time, I thought it was just walking and meeting friends. But what I saw made me wonder if that was the case. The behavior at the last party was not at all what I expected from the girl who was dating me. It's terrible that you say that. I'm just telling the truth. Maybe you should leave. It's probably better this way. After what I've seen, I'm not sure it's that simple. I got up and went to my car. Mellie caught up with me at the car. "You don't seriously think that about me, do you?" What I saw made me think. I don't want to take any chances. I got into the car and drove away, and she stood there, watching me go. I did get checked out and turned out to be healthy, but I didn't tell Mellie. We've been avoiding each other for over a week. On Thursday, when I was having lunch in the dining room, Mellie came up to me and sat down. "You didn't call me on Sunday." "It wasn't necessary." "You're being unfair, Josh. Why do you expect me to wait for you 6 days a week because of your job?" "Maybe because I see it as a preparation for a future life." "What does that mean?" "Perhaps you will continue to face such situations when your husband works hard. These are different things. Family life is not the same as school. Maybe that's what you think, but I see it differently. You knew that I was going to ask you to marry me after graduation. You knew about my work and my plans. There is a possibility that I will work night shifts and have a weekend in the middle of the week. If it's hard for you to deal with it now, how will you deal with it later? Everything will be different when we get married. We will adapt. This is the future, if we have it. Right now, I'm not sure about our future." We agreed to talk in the evening, and she promised to limit meetings to Friday and Saturday, always with our mutual friends. The seasonal gardening work ended in late autumn, which gave me more time for us. Throughout my senior year, I closely followed her behavior, and only 3 times did I notice something that made me think. But I chose to turn a blind eye to it. When we graduated, Mellie moved in with me, and we lived together while our mother was preparing the wedding. It was a new time for both of us. We enjoyed life, worked, and planned for the future. I got a job at an airline, and as expected, I had the most uncomfortable shift, from 4 to midnight, and the weekend was in the middle of the week. Mellie had a degree in accounting, and she got a job at an accounting firm, where she worked from 8 to 5, and Saturday and Sunday were days off. During the tax season, from about the end of January to the 1st of May, she usually worked 10 to 12 hours a day, and sometimes she had to work on Saturdays. We got married 5 months after graduation, and our wedding gift from both sets of parents was a down payment on a 4-bedroom house in one of the best neighborhoods in the city. None of us wanted to have children until we were settled in our jobs, so Mellie used one of the bedrooms as a home office. There was a fairly large patio at the back of the house, and one of our first purchases after moving in was a 6-person hot tub located on one side of the patio. It didn't take long before it seemed like it was always full. A month after installing the bathtub, we had a housewarming party, and after everyone tried the bathtub, it began to seem like we had a company meeting every week. It's not that I like this company. I had to leave home at 3 o'clock to get to work. As we got to know our neighbors, we began to be invited to barbecues and picnics, and as soon as it started, we also had to arrange a couple of our own events. We have become good friends with the neighbors on both sides of us, and with those who live right across the street. Everything went great for the first 2 years, and we adapted to our different schedules. And then everything changed. I found out about it much later, but it was pretty much what I talked about when I talked to Mellie back in college. I worked on Friday and Saturday, and Mellie was tired of spending time alone on the best meeting nights. At first, it was night walks with friends after work on Friday, the nights she never talked about. After a couple of months, she decided that since she had managed to hide her night walks with her friends, she might be able to hide the fact that she goes out on Saturdays. She tried to be home by the time I got back. She started spending time with colleagues and people she met at events. I didn't know when it started, and I had no idea how long it had been going on until I was informed about it by a neighbor who lived across the street. On Friday night, after dinner, he was having a drink with a client and saw Melly dancing with some guy. On Saturday morning, when Melly went shopping, he came over and told me what he had seen. It upset me, but it didn't surprise me. He said that his brother works as a policeman and moonlights as a private detective on weekends. He offered to keep an eye on Melly, and I agreed. The cost of such a service was $600, and it was worth it. On Friday, when Melly came home from work, she went to a bar, where she met a guy who bought her a drink and danced with her. They checked into a motel and spent some time there before she returned home. Melly didn't leave the house on Saturday. At 4 o'clock, her boss came by, and although the detective could not capture everything that was happening in the house, he still took several pictures showing how Melly interacts with her boss. On my first day off, I took all the collected materials to a divorce lawyer. He suggested contacting her boss for alienation of attachments and the company if there was anything in their policy about the relationship between managers and subordinates. I told him that her boss owns the company, and that interested him. The lawyer asked for a week to prepare the documents. I left his office, trying to act natural. When I came back, he informed me that the documents were ready for signature. He also added that her boss bragged in the office about his relationship with Melly. I'm not a lawyer, but maybe this conversation is just a rumor? Maybe if it hadn't been on tape. The person I got the tape from doesn't like her boss very much. Isn't there a law requiring both parties to be aware of the recording? In some states, yes, but not in this one. Good. Go on. I looked through the documents, made sure everything was in order, and decided that everything was ready. It was close to dinner. I handed the documents to Melly so she could read them and comment on them. She began to read and was soon visibly alarmed. Soon after, when the doorbell rang, she looked confused. When she opened the door, a young woman was standing in front of her with an envelope. The woman said, "You have been notified. Have a nice evening," and left. Melly fainted again when she heard that. I didn't bother with a glass of water, just helped her back into the room and closed the door. Then I went to the kitchen, got myself a beer and turned on the TV. End.